All right, so I'm going to show you how to use the Google Drive apps so that you can do some graphing. So the first thing I'm going to go is once I've logged in, I'm going to go to Create. I go to Create a Spreadsheet. Now I'm going to enter some data. I like to enter data in this somewhere away from this edge. That way I can always add something later. So for example, if I'm going to put some time over here, and maybe this is my temperature over there, I can just leave it like this if I wanted to. And for time, I can just start entering. As long as I've got two things in the same consecutive order, I can just grab the corner and pull. Okay, and now if I just want to add some basic data points, alright, so I've entered some things here. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to graph it. I'm going to click to this little button over here that says Insert Chart. Okay, so options here. Since I'm measuring something over time, right here, each time, like I don't select a bar graph. On this case, I'm going to select a line graph. So I click in the Charts option under the Chart Editor, and I click Line. Okay, and what you'll notice is that there's two lines here. There's the time line and the temperature line, and I don't want the time line, so I'm going to come back to the Start menu, and I'm going to click Use Column C as labels. So what I did is I just took that other line off the chart. All right, now if I like it, it is a line graph, but I want to adjust some things over here and over here. So I'm going to click on Customize, Chart Title, and I can write the effect of heating or whatever, blah blah blah. And now it's asking me, where do I want the legend? This little thing right here is the legend. So if I want, I personally don't like the legend on the right. I think it looks better on the bottom. So I click bottom. I can change this shape of that. Next, I have some other options. I can change the font or the background. If I want it to have a yellow color, I can make it yellow. If I want it to have a gray background, I can do that too. Personally, I like a very, very faint color. Next thing, I can, let's see where I am. Okay. I can smooth the line, do different things. Now, here's the axis titles. This is the horizontal, that's the guy along the bottom. If I click horizontal title, this would be time, parentheses Fahrenheit in this case. And I can change the minimum and maximum values. I can make it go from 0 to 200 if I wanted to. And once I do that, you'll see what happens. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm just saying that I could. If I just go to 0 to 10, it's not showing all the data. If I go to 0 to 14 or 15, it does show it all. I like it to have a little space at the beginning and the end. Next thing, I can go down here, and if I want to change the y-axis title, I'm going to click here under horizontal and hit left vertical, and over here I'm going to put, I guess this would be my temperature. I can't type as well as some of you guys. Oops, I made an error back here. Under my horizontal, I put time, and obviously when you're on video, you make errors because you're wondering if you're doing it correctly. My left vertical, I changed that to temperature, and my values, I'm just going to leave them there, but I can change them. I could change this to something else. Now the major grid lines, this is kind of an interesting thing. Watch this. I'm going to change this to 10, and it changes these values so that it clicks by 10s instead of by 5s or whatever. Another thing, you can just click auto. The minor grid lines, these are something interesting too. You can put these in there. That's showing the small little spaces in between them. I don't know why anyone would want them as that, but you can change the color of the grid line if you wanted. Next thing, number format. We can change this if this is like dollars or pounds or things like that, we could. And you can change it to a logarithmic scale if you want. You can change the values over here. It's pretty cool. You can change the color of the line. Let's say I want a red line. The line thickness, I can make it really fat if I wanted to. I can add points to it. These are like clicks on it, the dots right there. And if this was Microsoft Excel, we could change the shape of these points and everything, but this is pretty cool. You can even add error bars if you knew that. You can add a trend line. The trend line is showing the overall average slope of that line right there, and you can even see the equation for the slope in the trend line. It's pretty slick. If you leave the trend line, you can show the equation right down here, and that would allow you to determine what the value would be when x equals whatever. But I'm going to turn that off just so that it's not confusing for some of you. All right, and that's pretty much it. So now when you're done, you can just basically hit insert, and you've got your graph. If you want to change this, you can always click there and change these values. You can change you can tilt them so they're rotating if you don't want them at that angle. Personally, I think that they look better when they're just on auto. You can change the font of the numbers at the bottom. You can make them bold, whatever you need to make it work out for you. I don't like how this ends it goes 9, 12, and then nothing over here. So I'm going to click on that, and actually I'm going to go back here to the grid lines, advanced edit, and I'm just going to go down to my horizontal, okay, and it didn't ask me if I wanted to. So the minor grid lines I didn't ask. Actually, these are I want my other guys now. Hold on. So now it's going this way. The major lines are going by 5s, but I'm going to make it go by 2s. Oops. Let's see what happens. That's not really what I wanted, but I'm just showing you that you can do different things with it. You click on auto. I like that better. That's exactly what I was trying to do. Looks pretty good. I don't know if there's a way to center this under the options. Let's go see if we can move this over. Yeah, it doesn't say that this program doesn't allow you to move the title to the middle or something. You can just write a longer title, and I think if you actually put some spaces in the front, let's see what happens. Still didn't do it. Update. All right, so yeah, that's that. So that's the first one, and then when you're done graphing this, you can always copy the chart. There's lots of different things you could do. Copy the chart and paste it into your other file. So I'm going to copy the chart, and I'm going to go back here into this box, and I'm going to click on my little grid up in the top here and hit Drive and hit Create. And I want to put this into another, so I want to take my graph and paste it into another part of the document. So I'm going to right click and hit Paste. And there's my graph. The cool thing about this is I can change the size of it, and it works pretty well. You can even crop the graph if you'd like. Oops, I grabbed the wrong guy. This black thing is the crop tool. And so you can tighten it down pretty nicely. And when you're done, you just hit enter, and now your graph looks a little better. You can do different things. You could rotate it if you wanted to. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could. A lot of times you can even add a shape to this, and this would really make it pop. I'm going to just put a box here. And what I've done is I want to make my graph pop. So I'm going to put this, and then I'm going to right click here and hit order and hit send to back. And there's my graph. I can move it around on here if I wanted to. It's kind of a harsh background, but you get the idea. We can change this to something that's a little less harsh. Okay, so that's the first one. And now I'm going to go back to my sheet. And I'm going to click to the one that I just did, and I'm going to show you how to do something else. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Come on. Delete chart. Okay, I'm going to show you another thing. So now if I'm going to do like trial, and let's go this trial 1, 2, 3, 4. And this bottom one's going to be average. Actually, I'm just going to leave this average over here. Or actually, I can do it over there. Sorry. And maybe this is for my sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. Actually, here's a faster way to do it. Once you've got sample 1 and 2, you can just grab this and pull, and you get all the different samples. This would be like if I'm doing an experiment and I have different things that I'm trying, and I'm doing like multiple trials, and then I'm going to calculate the average. So for my chemistry class, we have to calculate how many calories per gram of like, I don't know, Dorito or something. So I'm just going to make up some numbers. So I'm just going to put 2. And what you notice here is I'm not putting any words here. I'm just putting the number, the raw number, no grams or milliliters or centimeters or anything. So I'm going to go 2, 5, 6, and 3. So here's all my data. So now that maybe this one's 4, 5, 4, and 6, and do 3, 2, 1, and 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say equals. I'm going to create a formula, average, and you can just click that button there if you want, and then you can just highlight this data right here, and that's the average of all this data. And then I can just pull it across, and it'll do it for all of them. So let's just say I only have 3 samples, so I'm just going to delete those. And so this would be my data table, and I want it. My teacher says I need to include this data table in my something, I don't know, my document. We can make it look a little nicer. You can make the lines look thicker. I don't know, lots of different things. So there's my data, and now I need to graph this. Okay, so what I really want to graph is I want to graph the average of each sample. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and this is the way I like to do it. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste special over here, and I'm only going to paste the values. If I pasted something else that was not the value, like if I just paste that, sometimes it comes out weird. Let me see, Control, Command Z. If I just hit paste there, it swears at me. It's giving me this weird thing because it's actually looking for the information over here, but it's not there because this is a copied thing. So the point is, what you want to do is you want to copy data that actually had formulas. If you click here, you can see there's a formula over here that has to do with this information. Well, here we go. So now I've got that, and then here's my trial. Or here, I'm just going to copy this and paste this right on the top. Okay, so I've got sample 1, 2, 3, and the average, and I'm just going to delete the word trial. Now I'm going to highlight this, and now I'm going to make a graph. And on this one, on this type, the type of graph I would choose would be a bar graph. And we learn in elementary school that these are called bar graphs, but Excel and Google and all of them, they call them column charts. So here's one, and you're like, that's kind of a weird looking thing. It doesn't even label anything over here. It's just a sample 1, 2, and 3, I guess. So what you can do is you can click this little button here and change it to switch rows to columns, and it breaks them apart a little bit better so you can see something. And that makes it look a little nicer, I think. So other things that you can do here, you can go back to customize and add your title. Okay, so calories of different foods. Okay, and what's kind of cool is instead of sample 1, you can call this Doritos. And what's going to happen is it's going to change down here when I'm done. And sample 2, I'm going to call this Cheetos. And sample 3, I'm going to call this, I don't know, taco shells. Alright, so you notice it's not showing up over here. But when you click that value, when you click on it to finish it, it did change it. Alright, so I'm going to go back into here. Once again, I can just click this. You don't, you don't need to have a legend when you only have like one thing. If I had multiple things over here, I could do this. I'm going to hit clear legend. Now I'm going to show you what would happen is if I graphed this. So I'm going to come over here and graph on this guy, and I click chart type, and I'm going to click a column, and I click this guy, and what's going to happen is it's showing each of the samples and the average. So when you click on this, you get all of sample 1, and then the average is the purple right there. I don't know which is better for you. I personally don't like this format. I think it's very confusing and difficult to read. I think it's much better to just graph the average, and then you can add some values on that after that. So there's my graph. Once again, I'm going to change this value over here. If I want it to go to something else, I can. I can make it start at 0 and go to, I don't know, like 10. And you'll see what happens. It changes the scale over here. The next thing you can do is, once again, just click on this, right click on this little guy, or click on it depending on if you have a Mac or not. This is obviously a Mac. Alright, so now we're going to hit Advanced Edit one more time, and we can go in here and we're going to go down to the horizontal axis, and I'm just going to leave that there. I'm just going to write food type if I wanted to. That's not necessary normally because it's kind of obvious what these are. I mean, these are well-known things. Most people understand or would be able to identify with those words. I'm going to click on left vertical, and over here this would be my calories per gram, okay, or something like that, and this would actually be my energy in calories per gram. And that's that. Now if I wanted to change something up, remember we can always add grid lines if you wanted. We don't need to do that. And that's it. The final thing is you can make this a different color or whatever. So I'm going to hit update. There's my cool graph, I guess. It's kind of cool. I'm going to right click on this graph. Let me see. I can always change the chart to a different type of chart if I wanted to. I don't really want to. I don't fit to area. I can click on that. Move and resize. I can click on this and move this over and move this up and move this over. Once you do that, you just hit edit. Okay, if you wanted to, if this is obviously too big, you can bring this down or whatever you need to. And come on, little stinker. All right, so that's that. You can, like I said, you can modify this however you want to get your cool graphs. That's basically it. I'm going to show you how I can copy this, and I can also paste this into my untitled presentation, which I'm making over here. I can just paste wherever I want. And I can just move this around. What's kind of cool about this is that it should auto size for you. If the font doesn't, you just click the table and select. There we go. Select all, and I'm gonna. This is the only thing that I don't like about the Google program is that it doesn't like resize the numbers don't always resize when you change the shape of a box. Okay, what are you doing? My computer's doing something right now. Okay, so I can move this around however I want. I do like these little red lines that help to identify whether or not something's straight or whatnot. Finally, I'm gonna if I want to add a picture to my image, I can always click over here under this thing and I can do something cool. I can hit, I can go search for an image, or I don't know, I can just hit search for a beaker, and I can pick a beaker that I want and hit select, and that's straight on Google. And that allows me to do some cool things to add to it. So once again, let me go back here to my graphing. I showed you two types of graphs. This first one is a line graph. Let's say I wanted to change. So the final thing I wanted to do is, let's say I wanted to do the same thing, but this time maybe I'm comparing like something else. I'm just going to paste this down here. Maybe this is like, this is up here, this is my temperature in Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna merge these two, so I click that little button right there and I hit merge horizontally. So that means it merged these two guys right here, and this is gonna be like maybe I'm doing like the temperature of a roof compared of two different colors. So I'm gonna say white, and I'm going to say black or whatever, and I can make this centered if I'd like. Looks better. And maybe this guy starts off at 0 and it goes to 61 and you name it. So this guy goes crazy high. Oops. All right, so I don't want to bore you. Let me just pull it down. I just made it have do whatever numbers. If it's got all these, so what you notice is once again, whenever you're using these programs to graph, you never put numbers in here. So never ever do this 0 millimeters or something like that. It won't know how to graph. A lot of students like to do this, and it won't know how to graph that. It will kind of swear at you. Now this over here, if it's doing something weird like that, that's just because there's a formula used because I told it to add these. But I can format these. So I can click on format and number, and it says automatic, but I'm just going to say plain text, or I can just go a number, and then under the number I can tell it how many decimal points I want it to have. See, I can click on that value and it'll just keep going away. If I want to add more values, I just click up at the top here, and that's where we are. So now I'm going to show you how to graph this. I can highlight all of this data, and I'm going to hit graph. Now this would be like two separate lines because I'm measuring something over time. So I click chart, I click line, I pick this guy. I go back to this guy on the front, and once again it's graphing the first column right here. And I don't want that first column, so I'm going to say use column C as a label. If you click switch rows and columns, you get something really weird on this one, so you don't absolutely don't want to do that. And that's kind of it. If you wanted to label them differently or something like that, you can do that. I'm going to show you a little trick over here. Legend. Once again, I like the legend at the bottom. And this one, it's not really, it's coming out kind of weird for me. So what I'm going to, I don't know why it's doing that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to change this guy to white and black and see what happens. So it didn't label those. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go Advanced Edit. And I think it's because I have a merged cell up here. So you can do different things. You can smooth the line if you want. Be careful about smoothing a line, because if you actually have it this way, those are the actual points. And if you have a smooth line, sometimes if it curves down, it bends and goes into a negative area, which you would not want. Horizontal axis, this would be obviously, I'm going to call this time, and always use minutes or whatever unit you've got. And then my vertical axis would be the same thing, but except in this case, this would be maybe temperature. And remember to always try to spell everything correctly or whatever. I just tried it in Celsius this time. And the minimum value I have here is 0. It just automatically goes to that. Once again, if you want to just focus on one area, you could say it starts at 250, and there it is, but I don't know why you would want that, unless you want to really zoom in. And then the maximum value, you could, if you want to tighten it up and not go all the way up to 800, you could go to 750 or something like that. So there, that's that. Finally, we can format line 1 series. So line 1, this is the color. If you want it to look like this, and you can, if this was Excel, we could make it like dotted lines or whatever. And once again, you can put a ticker on it to make it look a little more interesting or whatever. You can move the right axis if you wanted to add another axis title over here. And that's for complicated graphs that have 2 different factors, and I'll show you how that would be for making like a climatogram or something like that. Come back here, line 2, color, and I guess on this one we'll keep it red, but we'll make it a little thicker. And point size, I'll do the same thing as the other guy. And my computer's backing up right now. Okay, so there's my graph, and once again I can copy, I can take this whole graph and click on this right here and hit copy chart and go over to my other presentation at the top here and paste, and that's that. Remember, if you are running out of room on here and you just got to tighten it up, you can just click this little crop button here and grab the little black markers and move them in. And if you grab the black markers and move them in, you can save a lot of space. And that should make it look a lot better. Personally, I don't like a graph that's sitting by itself. Once again, I like to put something behind it. I think aesthetically it looks better. So you can just add some random thing over here and just right click, order, move to send it back, and you're done. All right, and then finally, you can take all of these guys and you could group them. And once you group them, you can move them all around. so they all go together. All right, so that's that. I hope that was helpful for you, and let me know if you have any comments.